Hey y'all, it's Alex from You Should Craft, and today I'll show you how to create this super easy twisted cup cozy. So this is something that you can just use to replace those little cardboard cup sleeve things that they give you like when you get coffee from Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or something. You can also slide it over a reusable coffee cup like I have here. It's totally up to you. It's about like a little over 3 inches tall. This is a 16-ounce cup, but it's stretchy since we used acrylic yarn, so you could go over a little bit of a bigger cup too. But anyway, let's get started. And before we do that, make sure you subscribe to the You Should Craft channel so you don't miss any other cool tutorials and crochet patterns like this one. So in order to make this cup cozy, you will need a worsted weight yarn. This is an acrylic yarn from We Crochet called Brava. You'll also need an H 5mm crochet hook. This one is a blue Odyssey from Furls Crochet. And then just your standard notions. So I'm going to use scissors and a tapestry needle. This will help make the twist at the end and also weave in our ends when we're done. So to get started, we'll do our slip knot. Insert our hook, and I'm going to chain 32. So here's my 32, and I'm going to reach over and get my cup. And this will just allow me to test to make sure that my chain is basically the right length. So it should stretch to fit the widest part of the cup. So I'm good on mine. If you find that you're chaining super loose and yours doesn't fit your cup, then you can chain with like you can go down a hook size basically. So I'm using an H 5mm. So you could try like a 4.5 or a 4mm hook. Or if your chain is super tight, sometimes it's helpful to go up a hook size. So use your best judgment. We will lose a little bit of width when we twist it at the end. Oh, sorry, I went ahead and started. But okay, so we're going to do single crochets. So I'll single crochet in the second chain from my hook. So here's 1, 2. I'm going to single crochet into this one. And I'm going to use the back bump. So here's like the top loop and then the bottom loop. But I'm actually going to go on the other side. So there's these little ridges. And I'm going to insert my hook right into there. This just gives me a cleaner bottom edge. So I've single crocheted. Again, to do a single crochet with US terms, you'll insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then now you have 2 loops on your hook. I'm yarning over and I'm pulling through. So again, insert hook into the back bump, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, insert hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops. So I'm going to single crochet all the way down this chain. And since I chained 32 and I skipped the first one. So I'll have 31 stitches in my project. You might notice that I'm crocheting a little bit differently than what you would typically see. I hold both my yarn and my hook in the same hand. This is just how I've always crocheted. The important thing with crochet is that you find a way to hold your hook in your yarn that's comfortable for you. So that might look like me. You might hold your hook in your right hand and like weave your yarn through your fingers on the opposite hand. You might be left-handed. There are different ways to hold your crochet hook, like a knife or a pencil hold or something a little bit different. It doesn't really matter as long as your stitches are turning out the way that you want them to. There are even people who figured out how to crochet with only one hand, which is super cool. So just, if you're new to crocheting, find whatever works for you and stick with that. You don't want any like wrist pain or tingling or like any kind of overuse injuries to happen. So finding the way that's most comfortable for you will help make sure that you're minimizing those types of like overuse injuries. But all right, so I'm getting to the very end of this. And this whole thing is going to be single crochet. So I'm just putting in my last stitch right here. We can test it with our cup again, just to make sure it hasn't changed like too much. So mine still looks good. So I'm not going to change anything. If you're finding that yours is too small, you can go up a hook size, or if you're finding that it's too big, you can go down a hook size. It's up to you. But so for the next row, I've chained one and turned, and now I'm going to single crochet across. So again, I'll have 31 single crochets. And this is row 2. Oh, I got kind of a yarn barf right here. This is a super easy cup holder. So I'm coming to the end of row 2, and all the other rows are going to look exactly the same. So just a lot of single crochet. So chain 1, turn your work, insert your hook, and again we're doing 31 single crochets across for row 3. I'm on row 4 now. I started the same way, chained 1, turned, and now I'm just single crocheting across. Whoops, I dropped my hook. So that was the end of row 4. So now I've got about a 1-inch thick strip. I'm chaining 1, I'm turning, and I'm just going to keep crocheting until it's as wide as I want it to be for my cup holder, cup cozy. So you can kind of do whatever you want with this part. I'm probably going to make it between 12 and 15 rows wide. 12 would make it about 3 inches thick. So once I get to 12, I'm going to stop. I'm going to like hold it up to my cup and just confirm that that's kind of the size that I want it to be. You could go a little bit smaller, you know, like 10 rows would be about 2.5 inches tall. Or you could go a little bit bigger to like 14 or 15. That would be about 3.5 inches. So totally up to you. But go ahead and pause the video and just keep single crocheting. All right, so I am finishing up row 12. I'm about half done. I like using even numbers of single crochet rows, and in a sec I can show you why. So when you have groups of 2, they end up having these like they're like evenly spaced, and they create these almost like divots every 2 rows, and it just, to me, like, it looks really clean. So this is the side I'll use as my front, is like the the nicest side. The back side doesn't look bad or anything, and it still has a little bit of the like divots. It's just a little bit different because like it's not spaced as well. But all right, I've got maybe like 6 stitches left up here. And here is my last stitch. So I'm gonna trim. You don't need your hook anymore, so you can go ahead and take that out. I pulled the loop a little bit further just for now. But I'm gonna trim some extra yarn. This is going to be more than I need, but I'm going to trim a piece that's kind of like double the length of this. So but again, it doesn't really matter. This is probably longer, but I'd rather trim off a little extra than not end up having enough. So just so we know, this is, I've got my tape measure. This is like 9¼ inches wide. I'm making sure that I'm measuring in the middle and along one of these divots, just so it's straight. And then it's about 3¼ inches, like, well, once it's on our cup holder, or on our cup, it'll be 3.5 inches tall. Sorry, I said the wrong thing 3 times, but it's like 3¼ ish. So a pretty good size. If I pull out my cup again, you can see that it's a pretty good size for like hands. But all right, so now you'll weave in your little starting tail. I got my tapestry needle. Oop, the end of mine was a little bit fluffy, so I'm just going to trim off the ugly part and try again. Okay. So I'm going to weave up the side a little bit. This doesn't really matter how you do it. Whatever you feel like makes it secure. I'm going to go through this row a little bit. And then circle back to where I came from. Going over the same spot twice creates this like friction that makes it more likely that your yarn will stay where you put it. And then I've got this little fluff, and I'm just gonna trim that off. So now I'll show you how to create the twist. So I want my good side, the one that has the evenly spaced section. So there should be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 evenly spaced sections. I want this to end up on the inside as I create the twist, because after we twist, we're going to flip it inside out. So this will end up on the right side, or like the outside. So I'm going to have this side facing up. I'm going to pinch the corners so that they're like folded in half, and they kind of look like greater than and equal signs, or maybe like alligator mouths. And I'm going to put them inside of each other, if that makes sense. It'll be kind of like this, like creating kind of an S shape. So I'll take these mouths that I've created, and I'll put them into each other like I'm kind of making an S. This seems a little weird, and it definitely is, but that is how you will make your twist. So I've got my tapestry needle on here, and I'm just gonna like sew this part shut. So I'm going through like the tops of the stitches. You want to make sure you're hitting all of these sections, because there's kind of like 4 sections, like the 2 from each side. So this one kind of fell, so I'm going to like pull it up a little bit. And make sure you're getting through all of these sections. And you'll just keep weaving in and out. Once I get to this side, I'm going to work my way back just to make everything is super duper secure. So now I got to one side, so I'm going to go back to the other side. Same thing though, I want to make sure I'm going through all 4 parts, so the top and the bottom from both the left and the right side. This will give us a really secure twist. I'm almost done. As you can see, I do have a lot more yarn than I needed, but like I said, I'd rather have more and end up trimming off a little bit than having less. So now I'm done making my twist. I've gone over it twice, so it's super secure. So I'm just going to weave in my yarn. Just like before, I'm going over the same area a couple times to make it really tight. This is like on the inside of my project, right near the twist, so you won't really see where it's woven in. Sweet. So that's pretty much it. Some people like to make kind of a knot just to make sure it's all tight. Again, this will be on the inside by the twist. You would have to be pretty aggressive with your cup cozy for it to come undone on the inside when like have the weaving come out, especially with how many times we went over the same spot, but you know, just in case, like, you do you. Now I'm trimming my yarn. This knot looks kind of ugly, but it doesn't matter because it's going to be on the inside. And then I'm going to flip this whole thing. And then now kind of like smooth out my twist. And that's it. So now I can put it onto my coffee cup. Or you could like bring this to Starbucks or wherever. And it looks so cute. That's it. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the You Should Craft channel and check out the You Should Craft blog for more free crochet patterns and cool tutorials. Thanks for watching.